What's up guys, David Falla here. Welcome to another tutorial. Today's tutorial actually is a pretty cool one because this video, the model is actually a subscriber. He found me on here on YouTube and then decided to come get a haircut with me, and then we decided to film a video. So it was actually pretty cool. I think that's the most important part of YouTube. I think is just being able to connect with others and being able to kind of inspire others for many things. So that's amazing. So let's go ahead and start with the video. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cut the top. Right here I'm explaining the client, exactly what we're going to create. We're going to kind of create a square shape on top, kind of leaving the corners. That's exactly what I'm showing him with the comb. And then yeah, so we're gonna do a skin fade, and the top we're gonna just texture a little bit. It wasn't too long, so we're just gonna kind of cut it a tiny bit. So how you can see, I'm just point cutting, because since I'm not cutting a lot of the length, I'm just gonna texture it. To be honest with you, that's all I really needed to do. That's why I'm point cutting it, and I'm just taking horizontal sections. And then just kind of small horizontal sections and just right in the middle, and that's gonna be my guide. And then all I really gotta do is just connect the other two sides. Just make sure to kind of pull the hair 90 degrees from the floor if you want to maintain those corners, right? You don't always have to maintain those corners, and a lot of people have been asking me about it. Do you always have to do a square? Not necessarily. Sometimes you really don't, but I do recommend you to keep the corners, just because it's gonna make your client's face look a little bit nicer, a little bit more structure, and also it will help you a lot with different haircuts. So sometimes round shapes don't necessarily look the best on men's hairstyles. Well, that's just my opinion, but obviously it just depends on who you ask. So after we're done with that, we're gonna start removing the bulk on the sides. I started doing number 2. The hair wasn't that long anyway, and since I had already started connecting the top with the sides, when I took those vertical sections on the side, then I kind of already had a guide. So we're gonna go ahead and use number 2 with the lever open to just kind of start creating that contour on the sides and create the shape that we want. Then we're gonna go ahead and grab a number 1 with the lever closed, and we're gonna kind of do like a mid to high fade. So I would say mid to high fade, but just gonna stretch it out a lot. So right under the number 1, we're gonna go ahead and do machine with the lever closed. So pretty much what we have right now, we have like 3 tones, right? We have a 2, we have a 1, and we have a 0, right? Usually all fades kind of follow this technique, which is like the 3 tones. Sometimes you don't see as much, just because the fades sometimes are very compressed or very open. So you just use the style of the barber, but for the most of the time you're gonna see those 3 tones, and then that's why I wanted to kind of do those 3 lines, so you can see how the tones, how the guides look, and then when we erase them, you start seeing little by little how we get to that faded look, right? But these are the foundation for that faded look, right? So once we remove the bottom, we're gonna start shaving the bottom. If you notice, I don't go all the way to my number 0. I kind of keep a little bit of space between the shaver and the 0, just in case I create a line, create a guide, or I create like any type of lines that I need to remove. If you don't have a little bit of space between the shaver and the 0, then you're gonna make the mistake that you're gonna trying to erase the line, you're gonna start erasing the fade. If that's something you want, that's fine, but if that's not what you want, then always maintain a little bit of space. You can see now I'm using the trimmer just to fade that shaver, and that's it. So here, what I'm doing right now, I'm using clipper over comb to just kind of create that shape. I'm just connecting the top to the sides, but I'm also kind of creating that square shape that I want. You can see the comb is kind of being straight from the head. It's not really following the head shape, it's just kind of following the side, like 90 degrees from the side, to say it like that. Just because I don't wanna remove that corner. So now we're gonna go ahead and go back to number 2 with the lever open, and then we're gonna start closing that lever little by little. And then you can see the client has very different growth patterns. So some parts grow like down, some parts grow to the side, like in an angle. So we're gonna maintain that in mind, because depending on that growth pattern, you kind of want to pass the machine in those directions. So here we're gonna go ahead and jump to the number 1, lever open, and then we're gonna go ahead and start fading. I will say with the Endis, in this case I'm using an Endis Envy. In this case you don't really need the 1.5. I feel like for whatever reason the one is a little bit bigger on the wall, I'm sorry, on the end is on the wall, so it allows you to be able to fade the 1 into a 2. I would say with a wall you definitely need a 1.5 guard. Oh, I mean, at least the way I see it. I mean, some barbers don't use it, but I feel like I do use it. Like I really need it every time I'm cutting, so just keep that in mind. So now we're gonna go ahead and close that lever, and then we're gonna continue down fading. How you can see, I'm not going as high anymore with my strokes. I'm kind of keeping it a little bit lower because I'm just now fading, then continue fading the number 1, right? Before I was doing a 2, so my strokes were a little bit higher. Now they're going lower and lower. Now we're gonna go ahead and use the number 0. 1/16 and the wall is a half, so pretty much is the guard between the 1 and the machine with no guard. A lot of people ask me about this guard, and the truth is that, do you need it? Probably no. Come on, I know there's a lot of barbers that probably don't use it, but I think it makes your life easier. It was created for a reason. Barbers were having problems fading from the machine open with no guard to a number 1, so that's why they created a 1/16 or a 0 or a half. So just keep that in mind, guys. If you don't have it, I recommend you to get it because it definitely will help you and save your life a lot. So here we're gonna go ahead and start erasing the first guide. So you can see all I did here, because I wanted to raise my fade a little bit. I started with the machine with the lever closed, and now I'm kind of opening it little by little. So I usually just down fade. I just start from top to bottom, lever open to close, but in this case I'm trying to raise the fade a little bit, so I started doing the opposite with skin line, and then just started from close to open. So little by little I'm opening it, and that will fade into the 0 or the 1/16 that I used before. So just different techniques, guys, depending of it's important to know a lot of techniques, because I feel like it helps you depending on the haircut that you're doing. You might use one technique for one haircut, another technique for a different haircut, or in case you have little problems with certain things, that you know that you can use one technique for certain things, right? So that's how I use my techniques. Usually you can see all my videos, they're down fade, but in this case, you know, I use a up fade because it just made it just felt like it was the right technique to use. So that's the importance of watching a lot of videos and going to classes and talking to other barbers, because you learn a lot of new techniques or different ways that barbers do things, and that in the long run is definitely going to benefit you the most. So now we're gonna go ahead and start shaping up the client. I'm using my TL liner for this, or any trimmer will do the same job. I try not to push back the shape ups, I try to keep it as natural as possible. So that's just the way I do things. If the client wants a very sharp shape up, or like, you know, something like that, I will usually recommend just applying color instead of just pushing back the natural line, just because the regrowth, it kind of like, it sucks. And we all know that. We all have gotten bad shape ups at some point, and then it just takes forever to grow back. So for this reason, I just kind of try to maintain it as natural as possible. And if the client wants it sharper, I can always add a little bit of color enhancement or fibers or something like that, just to enhance that the shape up. That's it. So we're gonna go ahead and dry the top. I always dry the top, and I always try to style it, I think, just for 2 reasons. It's just great customer service. You know, you want a haircut and you want to look good coming out of the shop, you know what I mean? Like, if you do a nice haircut but you don't style the hair, it just doesn't look the same, guys, and then just the client it's not gonna feel the same. Remember that he's about experience, he's about customer service. It's not necessarily about the haircut only, it's about everything that comes with the haircut. So for me, styling the haircut is always important. Also, it allows me to see any imperfections, anything I need to correct. It's easier to see it once the whole product is finished, to say it like that. So for me, it's important the client just feels good about the hair being styled, and I can show them some tricks on how to style it, how to use the blow dryer, what products to use. Also, it helps if I need to sell them a product because they need it, then at that point I would recommend them a product to use. So there's many reasons for it, guys. So just don't let your clients leave out of the chair without having the hairstyle, because it's just not a finished service in my opinion, right? And just teach your clients how to style their own hair. And that's it, guys. That's the video. I think it looks super clean. This is not an easy hair to cut, it just because of the texture of it, because of the growth pattern and all that, but I think we accomplished our goal. Thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you like the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.